Alright, you guys.
Hi, everyone. Hello, good morning. How are you? How is everyone watching us from wherever you're joining online, from Twitter, from Facebook, from our Straight Talk pages? Karibu sana, welcome. Today we are having a very interesting talk, and it is the Day of the Girl Child. Every year, 11th October, the whole nation, the whole universe celebrates the Day of the Girl Child. 25 years ago, there were promises that were made for the girls, including safety to education, including eradicating violence against girls and women, and so many other promises that governments adhered to when they were in Beijing 25 years ago. And today, as we look forward for 11th, the day of International Day of the Girl Child, I welcome you to join the conversation using hashtag Dada Summit 2020 and hashtag IDG or International Day of the Girl Child 2020. We have a very vibrant panel discussion. We have a very vibrant young people who are going to help us delve into these issues as we look at how far we've come from 25 years ago. We look at how has COVID-19 impacted even on the steps that the government adhered to accelerate the promise they made. And it is indeed the voices of young people that we will be talking to. We'll be having a panel that I'll be introducing later on. Right now, join us as we have this discussion and we even look at the voices of the young people. I want to introduce, we're having young people all over. We're having young people from Kajiado, we're having young people from Kilifi, we are having one in Tarakaniti, and these are just voices of young people telling us what is it that they want, what are the challenges that they are going through, what is it that they want from the government, what is it that they want from the stakeholders, and what is your part and what is my part also as a citizen of this universe, as a citizen of this nation, to actually protect the girls and to make sure that we put the governments on hold on the promises they made to the girls. Karibu sana. I just want us to hear young people from Kaloleni. I don't know if they are ready so that they just introduce themselves. Kaloleni. There she is. In Kaloleni, we have a very young girl, adolescent, being helped also by CD. Maybe she can just introduce herself. Sasa, habari yako? Mic imekuwa muted. Nema.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you. My name is Nema Wumba from Janagande Primary School. I am in class 7. I am an advocate champion, and I'm not only an advocate champion, but I'm the chairperson of the Kilifi Adolescent Advocacy Network.
Oh, good. Thank you so much, Nema. Do you know what day it is? Do you know what day it is? Why we are here?
Yes.
Why are we here, Nema? Maybe you can just tell our viewers why we are here.
To celebrate the Day of the Girl Child.
Celebrate the children like you, adolescents like you, and to give you insight on what the government has also promised for you. So yes, you're right. I'll be talking to you in a few. I don't know if we have Tarakaniti or Kajiado, because we just want to hear the voices. What are the young people saying about today, about tomorrow, about their day? Meanwhile, as that is coming in, I welcome all of us.
Kwa majina naitwa Pauline Mwende.
wa Godfrey Kivenji. Tumekuwa kwa semina leo kwa kanisa la Katoliki la Kare. Tumefunzwa na walimu, lakini tumekuwa na mashida mingi ambazo tumekuwa tukipitia. Sisi kama wasichana wa Kare kuna shida mingi, wazazi wetu hawana uwezo wakati mwingine wa kutubaia padi. Tunapata hiyo kama shida ambapo sisi tunaambiwa na wazazi wetu sasa tujishughulikie. Sisi ni wanafunzi wadogo, hatuna mahali pa kutoa pesa. Sasa inabidi tuende kwa marafiki zetu wanaume ndio sasa tuweze kupata pesa za kujikinga na hedhi ya kila mwezi. Alafu shida nyingine, wazazi wetu ni kama hawana muda wetu, hawatupei mawaidha, hawatuambii kama sisi tuko na value. Yaani unapata mzazi ya kuambii kama wewe shilingi 50 haziwezi kusaidia. Unapata sasa shilingi 50 zimekaribia maisha. Sasa tunaomba kwa walimu wetu wenye wamekuwa wakitufunza leo, wazazi wetu na wakuu wa serikali yetu ya Tharaka Nithi wakuwe wakituhostia semina kama hii ya leo kwa kila holiday yenye tutakuwa tukikuwa nyumbani, ndio at least tukua tunapewa mawaidha yenye itatusaidia kwa maisha yetu. Asante.
Kwa majina ni Shailin Kinanu wa Jeremiah Kireni. A youth from nimetoka Kare na mimi alafu nilimaliza last year. Huku changamoto ambazo tunapitia kama wasichana mayouth wa Kare ni kama vile kukosa ni kama vile peer pressure, ambapo hadi hatuwezi tukafanya uamuzi ambao unafaa na hii inatuaffect baadaye kwa maisha yetu. Kwa hivyo tungependelea ambapo wakubwa wetu waweze kuwa wanazungumza nasi, watupe muda wao wakuwe pamoja nasi. Alafu pia low self esteem, ambapo tunataka kuwa kama yule mwingine, ambapo tuseme kama vile hauna kitu ambacho mwenzako ako nayo, unajipata umejiingiza kwa kitu chochote kile, bora tu utimize mahitaji yako. Kwa hivyo tungeshukuru sana iwapo viongozi wetu na wale ambao wamewajibika kama wangetusaidia wawezavyo, watusaidie tuweze kukidhi mahitaji yetu, tusijiingize katika mambo ambayo yatatuharibia katika maisha yetu.
Kwa majina naitwa Scholastica Wajerero, nasomea Moi Girls Isinya. Kwa shida zenye kama wasichana tunapata ni kama the early pregnancies, and in order to overcome it ama kuipunguza, ni wazazi wawe na time kwa watoto wao ili tuweze kupunguza hiyo early pregnancies. For example, msichana kama ako form 4 ama class 8 na nangoja kufanya exam kwa hii pandemic ya corona, itamaffect sababu ataweza fulfill her dream. Ombi langu kwa wazazi na viongozi ni educate wasichana, na si wasichana pekee, hata boy child. Kama hii seminar tulikuwa nayo hapa imeweza kutueducate sana, tuweza kuelimisha wasichana wengine.
And that is the voice of young people from Tharaka Nithi. And I want us to have this discussion with Nema, who is in Kaloleni. If I can just retaliate what the girls have said, and they were speaking in very, understanding language of Kiswahili. That's number one, parental negligence. Wazazi hawadhamini watoto wa kike. Wamechukua kazi yao kukuwa ni ya muhimu kushinda maisha ya wasichana wao. Wanawaambia waende wakajiuze ili wakaweze kununua padi ama pads ama sanitary towels kuwasaidia katika ile maneno yao ya hedhi, na hakuna pesa. Na sijui kama haya maneno pia yanafanyika Kaloleni. Maybe Neema unaweza kutuongelesha na utuambie pia wewe kama msichana, tunaposherekea siku ya wasichana, hizi changamoto pia zinaonekana pale Kaloleni ama hii tu ni maneno ya Tharaka Nithi? Neema?
Kaloleni pia kunaonekana na hiyo hali ya kwamba wazazi hawa na
Nakusikia? Nakusikia kabisa.
Wasichana huku pia wanafanya hivyo, hawapatiwi hizo sanitary towels mpaka wanawana wazazi wao wakajiuze ili wapate hizo sanitary towels.
Na wewe kama mwenyekiti ama chairman, ulipokuwa unajitambulisha ulisema wewe ni
Hali
mwenyekiti.
ni hiyo tu pia.
Hali ni hiyo pia Kaloleni. Na wewe kama mwenyekiti, ni
Mimi ni
mikakati gani
mwenyekiti wa
ambazo
Kilifi
mnafanya? Ni mikakati gani ama maneno gani yenye unafanya na unaambia wasichana wengine ili wasiweze kujiuza, ili waweze kupata zile vitu tunaita alternative method, ile njia nyingine yenye si lazima wajiuze? Ni mikakati gani ambayo unafanya pia kama chairperson kuongea na wasichana wenzako? Kuna maneno ambayo unafanya?
Nikishikana na
Kama
wasichana
Neema.
wenzangu huwa naambia kujiuza si suluhisho. Sasa huwa nawaambia kuna njia tofauti tofauti ya kujikinga na hizo hedhi. Sasa huwa nawaambia kwamba kunaweza hata kuchukua nguo pia ukapasuka ikaweza kuwa kama sanitary towel. Sasa kuna njia nyingine pia kwamba yani sanitary, yani zile towels ambazo zauzwa madukani yani si muhimu kushika hizi zetu za hapa nyumbani. Sasa huwa na washauri watu hizo.
Na umeweza, kwa ushauri wako, wameweza kutia manani ama bado idadi ya wasichana pia inazidi kuongezeka au kujiuza au kupata inaitwa nini, zile ma excuses za kuenda kulala na wanaume wengine ili wakaweze kuwapea haya mabidhaa? Wanafuatilia ama unaona kuwa imepuuziwa mbali?
Wachache ndio wanafuatilia, lakini wengine wanapuuzilia mbali. Sasa namba kubwa na wasikia
na kusikia kabisa Neema.
Nambari kubwa ya wasichana ndo wapuzilia mbali, waenda kulala na wanaume ili wapate zile sanitary towels.
Na nataka uongeleshe kama kuna mzazi ambaye anakutizama sahi, na apart from mzazi kuna yule mtumishi wa umma ule wa serikali ambaye anakutizama, ni jambo gani ungependa kuambia mzazi na ni jambo gani ungeweza kupenda kuambia pia serikali kama wanakutazama ili wakaweze kukabiliana na maneno haya? Maneno gani ungeweza kuambia mzazi na maneno gani ungeweza kuambia serikali?
Maneno ambayo naweza kumwambia mzazi, yani ajukumike ili atunze mtoto wake wa kisichana, hata kama hakuna kazi, lakini ajikakamue ili ahakikishe kwamba msichana wake amepata kila kitu ambacho anahitaji. Alafu kwa serikali nilikuwa nawaomba kwamba kama wanaweza kuingilia kati na kusaidia, at least wanaweza kutupatia hizo sanitary towels ili kupunguza hiyo nambari kubwa ambayo wafuata wanaume na kuwekwa mimba.
Sasa kwa wazazi kuwa waweze umesema waweze wajijukumishe, wachukue responsibility. They should take responsibility to ensure that they are parenting the young girls, that they are giving advices to the young girls. And for the government, you are telling them that they should ensure that sanitary towels are in school and they are free. Hiyo ndio ujumbe ambayo unawapea nikikupata vizuri. Neema.
Sasa kuna hiyo government inaweza pia kusaidia wale wasichana ambao hawaendi shule na kuna wengine ambao wako shule wanaweza kusaidika na hizo sanitary towels, lakini kuna wengine wako nyumbani hawaendi shule kwa sababu pengine walipachikwa mimba wakatoka shule, school dropouts hizo. Kuna wengine walimaliwa mapema, sasa hawana hizo sanitary towels. Serikali inaweza kupeana shule, alafu hao watoto ambao wako nyumbani hawasaidiki. Kwa hivyo kama ni kupeana sanitary towels, wawe kwa hao watoto wa shule na wale wa nyumbani ndio waweza kusaidika.
Oho. Na wale walio nyumbani wanafikiwa aje? Ni mikakati gani ama ni njia gani serikali inaweza tumia ili ikawafikie walioko nyumbani? Kwa sababu wale wenye wako shuleni ni rahisi kuwafikia. Unaweza tumia siku ambao watoto wako shuleni ukaweza kuwafikia na ukaweza kuwaongelesha. Lakini hawa walio nyumbani tunawapata aje kama msichana? Tunaweza pata msichana rika yako aje pale nyumbani ambaye haendi shuleni?
Kuna
Nema.
local administrators kama chiefs na wako na kamati zao. Hasa wale nini government kama wameamua kupeana hizo sanitary towels, wanaweza kwenda kwa chiefs, sub chiefs kwenye DCC's office, wakaenda kupeana hizo pads, alafu wakazisambaza.
Shikilia tu hapo hapo. That was the voice from Nema, who is joining us all the way from Kilifi in Kalolini. And there are more voices of young people as we look into the Day of the Girl Child. And I would like us to play another video from Kajiado. We see is Kajiado's challenges also the same as Tarakaniti and Kalolini. And we will be back with these conversations. So meanwhile, as we wait for the video, remember we are joining the conversation on Twitter, #International Day 2020 and #Girl Summit. Let's keep on the conversation on Facebook. Let's keep the conversation on Twitter rolling. Let's hear what are the girls in Kajiado saying.
My name is Lucy Sanamai. I'm from Suswa in Narok, and issues affecting young people in Narok. The first thing affecting ladies is FGM, which is female genital mutilation. It is affecting girls this way. When a girl undergoes the situation when she is still young, of course it will lead to early pregnancy. After early pregnancy, she will be married off by their parents, and the effect are the girl will bear children when she is still young, and in most cases it causes death because young girls get married when their womb are not yet matured, so they undergo the process of cesarean section, which causes death in most cases. And on the other side of boys, it also affects them because if a boy impregnates a girl, he also will not be going on with his education because the girl child parent will not allow him to go on with his education, as the girl also is not going on it. And my suggestion is, I suggest that both ladies and both young girls and boys should be educated, because as you see in most cases, young girls are being married off to young boys. Of course, they don't even know the responsibilities, and if education was there before, our country could have developed, because in most cases, our young generation is the one to make our country to develop and also make our country not to develop, because in our country the young generation are many people in our country. So for me, I suggest both girl and boys to be educated. Thank you.
One of the promises that governments adhere to in Beijing to end all form of discrimination and violence against the girl child. And apart from that is just to provide an enabling environment where the intellectual, spiritual, and social matters of the girl child is going to be safeguarded and it's going to be put into consideration. As we have already heard from what Kajiado girl has said, she has talked about pertinent issue that is not only an issue in Kenya but in Africa, female genital mutilation, something that government is really keen to end by 2022. And it's not a joking matter. If at all girls are being cut and are being married off early, then that means that you cannot even be able to achieve the sustainable development goals. And FGM is an issue that has to be talked onto at the community level and even at the national level. Let me bring in also Nema again. How do you feel when a girl of your age talks about FGM that pertinently? Unahisi vipi kama msichana kama yule anaongea kuhusu ukeketaji wa mtoto wa kike vile ameongea? Unahisi aje?
Ni vibaya.
Ni vibaya kwa nini? Ni maneno gani umesikia ambayo ni mbaya kuhusu ukeketaji wa mtoto wa kike?
Kulingana nasikia huwa msichana kikeketwa anaweza overbleed and it can cause even death. Kwa hivyo it is dangerous and it feels bad. So poleni sana kama ni FGM huko. Kwetu hakuna FGM, si sana, lakini kwetu ni early pregnancy, harmful cultural practices na SGBV, early marriages hizo, lakini hakuna FGM.
Kwenye ukiongea kuhusu harmful cultural practices, harmful cultural practices upande wa Kajiado ni ukeketaji wa wanawake, lakini hapo Kilifi ni practices gani ama ni maneno gani ambayo yanafanyika yenye imejiingiza katika culture na inadhuru watoto wa kike?
Mtoto wa kisichana huwa hapewi nafasi kubwa kama ile ya mvulana katika pengine kama ni mali, mvulana ndo anapewa mali yote, msichana hapewi chochote. Yaani anapewa kazi yake ni kuolewa na kuzaa. Sasa kuna pia kuozwa mapema, yani harmful cultural practices huko Kilifi. Katika elimu pia wana consider mvulana kama mtoto wa maana kushinda msichana.
Asanti sana Neema, umeongelelea maneno muhimu sana. Kuwa katika urithi ni mtoto wa kiume ndio anarithi. Katika masomo ni mtoto wa kiume ambaye amepewa kipaumbele kushinda mtoto wa kike ili akaweze kusoma. Na maneno hayo ndio yule mwenzako pia aliyekuwa anatoka Kajiado alisema kuwa anahisi ingekuwa vyema kama masomo ingepewa kila mtu kwa usawa, mtoto wa kike na mtoto wa kiume. Manake ukiwasomesha wote kwa usawa ndio unaweza kureduce ama unaweza unaweza kudeal na hizi maneno ya kukeketwa. Na niko na wewe kabisa and I support you a lot ukiongelea kuhusu maneno ya urithi. Na sijui ungeweza kuambia nini serikali ukihusika na hiyo kenye umesema about harmful cultural practices, about early marriages. Sijui ungeweza kuambia nini serikali kupitia hiyo, manake wanaweza kuwa wanatizama upande walio wakati kama huu.
Katika hizi harmful practices ni education should be passed to these people who are doing that, kwa sababu kama wale wazazi wetu ndio hawajui kwamba harmful practices ni hatari kwa wasichana, ndio wanafanya hivyo, lakini wakifundishwa kwamba it is dangerous and it is bad to do that, ndio watakuwa wanaelewa kwamba mtoto wa kike pia ana haki sawa na mvulana.
So pia wewe unaendelea na kusema kuwa
pia ifuate sheria.
Neema, ulikuwa unaongea? Serikali?
Yaani sheria kali ilete kwa wale ilete sheria, yaani ilete sheria kali kwa wale watu ambao wanapenda wanachukulia msichana yaani wanakiuka sheria za msichana na haki za msichana wanazivunja. Kwa hivyo wanastahili kupewa adhabu kali.
And I agree with you. Ukiongelea kuhusu sheria, najua tutakuwa na mgeni ambayo pia ni wakili amesomea maneno ya sheria, na pia tutaweza kuongelea ni masheria gani ambayo yako pale na yamewekwa ili kuweza kuprotect ama kuweza kuprotect mtoto wa kike. Na nakubaliana na wewe. The government has already established the FGM Act The government already has the Constitution of Kenya that protects also the girl child. The government already put in guidelines on teen pregnancy, on rape. We also have the Sexual Offences Act on rape. So kuna sheria kadhaa wa kadha ambayo inaweza kuzingira mtoto wa kike, na tutakuwa tunaziangalia kwa undani na tujue ni nini ambayo tunaweza fanya kwa kasi ili kuweza kufanya hizi masheria ziwe. Kuna video ingine nataka tukacheze ya ya sauti. Kuna watu ambao walikuwa pale kwenye caravan. Neema, unaongea? Ndio Neema.
Naam. Tunaomba usimute hiyo video nyingine kwa sababu tukusikia na kuona hatuzioni.
Hauoni video zingine? Video gani Neema? Haya, sawa sawa. So tutakapocheza hiyo. Okay. Sawa sawa. Ndio hiyo sasa. Kuna video, I hope hiyo utaweza kuona. And as that is playing, let's keep the conversation going. #Dada Summit 2020, #IDG 2020.
Jambo. How are you? Yeah, good. Welcome. Long time.
I'm super excited. It's the International Day for the Girl Child. Now, in Mexico. You know, the theme for this day is I want our youth. And when watoto kama wasichana wa Isolo wanapitia, you know, tuwe kama future zao zitakuwa. Sisi huku maybe tumekaa Nairobi, sisi tuko kwetu hatujui shida zenye wasichana huko wanapitia, twende tutembee, tujue nchi, tujue vile watu wanaendelea. What's your feeling?
Well, me, I feel it's great to find it. Kwa sababu unaona mademo huko Isiolo nikawa nisaulika, unaona a lot of people wana concentrate na Nairobi. Yes, kuna hizi maslamu ziko Nairobi, Korogosho, Kibira, but pia huko Isiolo umesahau kuna mademo wengi sana hawatumii hizo.
Yani unamaanisha yani magaldem in every part of this country wako na shida zao ama kitu zao special.
Wako na so special, but kuna one thing that is making them the same. That is the whole thing about that.
So na boy child hapa anaweza kuambia, are you excited that we have a Girl Child Day, we celebrate it?
Yeah, I'm excited, and I would say it's a campaign for the girl child, which is very good. Itatuwezesha to understand more about the girl child, and also it's good to talk from our comfort zone. Kama hivyo my sister amesema Nairobi, it's like a comfort zone. So it's good kwenda huko mashinani, to go to the counties and see what's happening, get to hear the views from the girls, the young girls, and see how we can assist them, how other organizations can come up and assist them. It's a good initiative.
Ninafanya kazi hapa kwa Isiolo County Referral Hospital. Mimi ninakuanga specialist wa reproductive health, na ninashukuru sana kwa sababu ya hii mpangilio yenye imewekwa leo kwa sababu ya vijana wa hii area. Tunaona ya kwamba vijana wameingia kwa mambo mengi. Sasa kama hapa Isiolo tunapata kuko na mambo kama early marriages, unapata wasichana wanaolewa mapema. Unaangalia tena unapata kama ni hii hali ya kuwa kuko na crimes, kuko na drug abuse, unapata watoto wanajiingiza kwa mambo ambayo hayafai. Wengine wanajitolea kuwa ya kwamba wanaweza kuwa wanauza mili yao, na hiyo ni mambo ambayo haifai kuwa inaendelea, kwa sababu wakati ambapo hata mtu anaanza kufanya mambo kama hayo, ile kitu yenye inatendeka ni kwamba kunakuwa na disconnect, kunakuwa na kukatika katikati ya wale wazee na wale vijana kwa kando. Kama sasa unapata wazazi wengi wanaacha watoto wanajilea wenyewe, watoto wasichana wakienda shule hawawezi kuwa supported, so wanakaa tu hata wakienda shule kwa sababu wamezoea kuwa independent. Hakuna ile contact na wazazi, hakuna ile hali ya kuangalia nyumbani ya kwamba wanaweza rudi kujenga. Lakini wakati kama huu tunapata vijana kama hao, mimi nitawaita mentors, ambao wamekuja kupitia kwa hizi NGOs kutoka na hii hali ya uhusiano na kanisa, partnership ya watu wote inafaa. Hii ni kitu ambayo effort inafaa kuwekwa kwa wandogo, kwa wakubwa, walimu, madaktari, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, ministry zote zinafaa sasa, hata youth gender zinafaa kuingia na kuhakikisha ya kwamba vijana wetu wamekuwa empowered.
Kwa majina naitwa kwa Kinywa, mimi ndio team leader wa Meru Passion Riders, ambapo sisi huendesha kwa raha zetu tunasema hivyo. Lakini vile vile tuko na jukumu ya ku give back to the society. Na nashukuru sana Street Talk kwa kuwa wameshirikiana na African Health Services kwa siku ya hii sherehe kubwa ya Dada Festival. Hii sherehe ni ya kuinua mtoto msichana ajielewe, aelimishwe na ajue maana yake. Pia sisi kama Meru Passion Traders tuko pamoja na Dada Festival.
Ladies and gentlemen, and that is the voice from the caravan and the caravanners who were headed from Meru to Isiolo. And I love the fact that they've already said that we should move from the traditional way of focusing on urban areas and also focusing on the rural areas. Most of the time, when you talk about inclusivity, when you talk about bringing everyone on the table, we seem to leave the girl child and the girl children who are actually located at the far rural areas where they cannot access the services, where they cannot be heard, where the voices are not coming out very clearly the way the voices of the urban young girls normally come out. And I know we will be having this discussion after very lively music that is coming up next. We'll be having this discussion with a very great panel to look at the steps that the government has already done here, to even look at what the government can be able to do. And I can see DJ Wiwa is already set to entertain us as we take a break to the second leg of this discussion. I can just remind you that we were on the first leg with one adolescent girl, Neema, who was also bringing insight to what is it that the voices of young girl child actually entail. When you talk about female genital mutilation, when you talk about teenage pregnancy, something that has already come out from the caravan is bringing everyone on board, even including the ones who are actually at the rural side. DJ Wiwa, take it over, even as we look forward to having the second panel discussion that is very exciting. Remember, the conversation continues online on Twitter, hashtag Dada Summit 2020, hashtag IDG 2020. We are on from Straight Talk Live. DJ Wiwa, take it over.
Nilichopata nikiomba walisema kitabisha, nikitoa shukrani hadharani wakasema nazikamba. Hao binadamu walinipa mengi, sasa imepita miaka bado wanasubiri. Kazi ya Mungu haina makosa. Ni maombi, sikelele ni maombi, ni maombi, sio tu ni maombi, ni maombi, sikelele ni maombi, ni maombi. Oya, 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 oya. Na mikono nitainua, magoti nipige, nimweleze jinsi alivyotenda katika maisha yangu. Kazi ya Mungu haina makosa. Ingekuwa binadamu wanatoa, ningekosa. Kazi ya Mungu kweli haina makosa. Ingekuwa binadamu wanatoa, ningekosa. Sio chocho, ni maombi, ni maombi. Sikelele ni maombi, ni maombi. Sio chocho, ni maombi, ni maombi. Ni maombi. I had a dream so strong inside of me. I just knew one day I set it free. Na hatimaye wakati wangu umefika, hatimaye dira yangu imelitoa. Wakati wako umefika,
internationally and street approved.
Yani kibichi na ndoto moyoni, nilijua kafika pale, tapewa mabawa kupita ukingoni. I had a dream so strong inside of me. I just knew one day I said it free. Na hatimaye wakati wangu umefika, hatimaye dira yangu imelitoa. Wakati wako umefika, shine, 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 it's your time. Wakati wako umefika, shine, 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 shine.
Now hear this. Now hear this.
Hope you're happy now. I see you flexing on the ground with your sponsor. Susanna, I hope you're happy now. I see you change your skin color and your hair is on the not to walk up. I'm pasando a Champs-Élysées. Ukipesa na kamini, none of my business. And I see you in London, see you down on your mama, shaking what you come together. On your worst behavior, none of my somebody loves you.
Wow. That's none other but DJ Viwa. And I hope you're enjoying yourself wherever you are. You're enjoying yourself in Twitter. You're enjoying yourself in Facebook. You're enjoying yourself in Instagram. You're enjoying yourself in our Facebook pages on Straight Talk. And yes, it is the day of the Girl Child, International Day of the Girl Child, where we celebrate the milestone, where we celebrate the acceleration that governments and stakeholders have actually put in place to ensure that the status of the girl child is being safeguarded. As I promised you earlier on, I have a great panel. The last panel that we're going to delve in, even as we look at issues that have already risen from the talks that we were having with adolescent girls and the voices in Meru, the voices in Kajiado, the voices in Tarakaniti, and the voices in Isiolo. There's the issue of teenage pregnancy. There's the issue of lack of sanitary towels. There's the issue of FGM, something that is really pertinent and, needs support. There's the issue of not including the rural girls. And these are some things that we want to delve with an amazing panel. I know I have Priscilla on board. I know I have a very friend of mine, Esther, on board, and maybe we can just bring them along. I know we should be having Sheila on board. I know Sandra is also on board, even as we look at these issues. I just want us to have a conversation, not an official panel, because this thing we've talked about it over and over again. I just want us to have a conversation on the milestone. Yes, I can see Mweshimiwa is on board. I can see Esther is on board. Hi, Mhesh, how are you? Nice to have you here. Nice to have you joining us. And I hope you're being entertained by the music that we are having. Yes, I can see Esther who is on board also. On the right. Yeah, and I can see Carol also is on board. As I promised you earlier on, these are powerful women who have actually participated in some framework and policies that govern the country, women who are in their safe spaces and they're building and empowering women at their own capacity. And I will really not be doing it justice if I introduce them to you. I would like you to hear their voices, and I can start with none other, the one that I really follow her work. She was the first woman to be elected as member of parliament in Meru. Yes, in Nyeri, actually, not Meru, in Nyeri. And she has participated in a lot of legal work that has also seen women, young women like me, having the voices that they have. And I know I also have Esther, who is so passionate about sexual reproductive health, and also who has worked with young women. I know Sheila is there, Carol is there, and even Neema, people who are actually contributing to, the milestone of who we are, and even looking at the post Beijing 25. And maybe we can start with you, Sheila. Just tell us about yourself and the work you do.
Hi everyone, my name is Sheila. I am a program manager at Trust for Indigenous Culture, and the program we call Sexuality Program, which basically entails sexual reproductive health and rights, and allowing girls and women to have access and become agents of their own choices and their own bodies. Yeah, I'm passionate about SRHR. I'm passionate about women and girls, and just for me, the world is not complete until a girl is able to access all these things and have agency over her own body and her own choices. So that's what I look forward to, and I'm excited for this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sheila. You've raised a very pertinent issue that is also bringing in debate, that a girl is not free until she can be able to make choices around her body, her health. And we'll be even looking at, one of the policy that has arisen debate, like the Sexual Reproductive Health Bill of Rights, that, is being taken on another level. And it also speaks to what you said, the power of a girl to just make decisions on her body and even her health. We can have Esther. Yes, Esther, just tell us what you do around women girls.
Oh, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Esther Wamboy. I'm a feminist, passionate about gender equality, and I also run the Mara Foundation, a feminist organization that works on feminist transformative leadership for young women and girls. sexual reproductive health and rights, and also we do advocacy. So what we want to do is that we are building a constituency of girls that have a voice to speak about, inequalities and oppression, and challenge inequalities and oppression, that they actually also have a choice in regards to their bodily autonomy and integrity. And, finally, that they can actually have agency, not only sexual agency, but also agency in terms of also influencing policy in this country. So basically, that's what we do, and that's all about me. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Esther. Nice to have you also on the panel, and I know you'll be bringing in ideas. And even I see the work that Zamara Foundation does online, and it's really amazing. We'll be hearing more about what you do. We can have Carol. I'll want Mheshimiwa to speak the last because I'll be having a few questions for her. Carol? Carol, please unmute your mic. Okay, as Carol is coming in, okay, she has unmuted. Carol? Yes, Carol, we can hear you.
My name
Hi,
is
Carol.
Sahilu. I'm the founder at Lenganoma Initiative. Hi.
Hi, Carol. We can hear you.
For this opportunity. I'm so excited to be in this platform as we unearth and dissect through. Yes, I'm saying I'm so excited to be in this forum today, to be able to join in this panel as we dissect through the various issues that our young girls and women are going through, and the issues, the milestones we have made, and the things that are still pending. I am the founder at Lenganoma Initiative, a program that is working towards empowering the adolescent girls and young girls. Basically, our thematic areas: reproductive health rights, leadership development, character development, and of course, future of work skills development. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carol. And it will be very great to hear the work that you're already doing at Lenganoma.
Thank you so much.
And
Thank you so much, Carol. And it will be very great
I
to
would
hear the work
like
that you're already
to
doing
bring
at
in
Lenganoma.
Neema. We were with Neema in the first leg,
would like
and
to
she's the
bring
adolescent
in
girl who
Neema.
we were
We
talking
were with Neema in
about
the first
on
leg,
matters that affect the
and
girl
she's
child.
the
And I would
adolescent
like to
girl who
introduce
we were talking
her
about
to you
on
ladies
matters
so that
affect the
she
girl
can
child.
just tell us about herself. Neema.
I'm fine, thank you. My name is Jan.
Hi, my name is Nema Gumbao from Chanagande Primary School. I am in class 7 of the age 14 years. I am an adolescent champion in the advocacy, and I'm not only an advocate champion, but also I am the chairperson of the Kilifi Adolescent Advocacy Network. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Neema. Last but not least, everybody who is watching us, I would like to introduce you to the one lady who was nominated 40 under 40, and a lady that I really love enjoying. This is the closest I've come to to see Honorable Nyokabi. I normally watch her on television, and I also follow her work on legal, especially fighting for women rights. Very beautiful, and very beautiful also from inward, from what she just brings from her mouth. And Mheshimiwa, just introduce yourself for the few who might not be knowing you.
Thank you very much, and happy to be here and to participate in this conversation. Let me just explain a little bit about our the National Gender and Equality Commission, where we are a constitutional commission created under Article 59 of the Constitution on what we call the Bill of Rights, where we have the rights of children in Article 53, the rights of the young people in Article 55, and Article 27 on gender equality, that men and women are equal in our country. So what our commission does is to oversee that those rights are fulfilled. And we do have a statute that creates us, but we also look at what we call special interest groups. The women, the youth, the children, the elderly, the person with disability, the minorities and marginalized, all of the 6 groups. And so in this conversation, the issues of children, the issues of young people and young women in particular come to the fore. So thank you very much. Let me not say too much now. Let me just keep it there at introduction and just tell everyone that I'm very, very happy to be here. I'm also a lawyer by training, and I've worked before as the executive director at Kituo cha Sheria, and worked before that at ICJ Kenya, and worked before that at Mohamed Muigai Advocates, and so been around a while and can share quite a lot of lessons and laws on the matters of protecting our adolescent girls and where the country needs to go in terms of making sure that our girls and our boys are safe and protected, and every dream is valid, that our girls like Neema, their dreams are valid, and what they want to be in this country is what they will be in this country, and the opportunities need to be equal. So thank you very much, and happy to be here. And I hope that after COVID, we can do a live interview so that we can then even be closer. Yeah.
Exactly. I would really love that, and I can follow it up, even if it's not for COVID. Who knows? I can come to Ngek offices, And I'd like to start us off with you, Mheshimiwa. There are some other frameworks and global summits and conferences that have made it possible for young adolescent women like Neema, people who are in their, late 20s or early 30s like me, and people like you who have already participated in legislation, that this conference have really helped. I would just like us to tell our conference, how has the outcomes and the declaration that governments have signed has shaped the work of policies and frameworks towards protecting the girl child in the country, if we bring it to now our Kenyan context? Where were you, and how has the outcome of that conference shaped the legal frameworks we have in this country?
Thank you. Luckily, also, even I'm not very old either, so I wasn't too.
Yeah, you are not.
In Beijing. But I have met people who are in Beijing, Honorable Pora Kitoni, Honorable Nyiva Mwendwa, who stay active in the women rights movement. And so even though we were not in Beijing, we have been happy to hear what happened in Beijing. But also more important for me, I think along the way, before Beijing, there was Nairobi. Actually, the women rights important cities were the Nairobi, because we had what we call the Nairobi forward-looking strategies. And so I think when we were celebrating the 25 years, because Nairobi forward-looking strategies were 1985. So I was able to be part of the group that was now looking at what has been done with the Nairobi forward-looking strategies. And the Nairobi forward-looking strategies are what preceded the Beijing platform of action. But then after that has also been the Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, or the convention that we call CEDAW, which is a very, very important convention of the UN. For a long, long time, the UN also believed that women's rights were human rights. It wasn't until Hillary Clinton, who was a big champion of the Beijing platform of action, pushed the agenda that the UN system also needed to give women their own protective legal instrument, which is now what we have in the Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. And this convention covers a lot of the issues we are discussing: teenage pregnancy, early girl marriage, or what we call child brides, gender-based violence, sexual and gender-based violence, harmful cultural practices. A lot of all these things are covered in the CEDAW. Education and promoting the education of women and girls, employment, making sure that women and girls are employed in equal numbers, all of those are in the CEDAW. But then after that, the African continent and the African Union, our heads of states and governments, passed what we now call the Maputo Protocol. The African Charter on Human and People's Rights was actually adopted here in Nairobi in 1981. But then after the Charter in 1981, just like the UN system, the Charter was human rights in general, and some parts of our protection of women rights are in human rights. But then the African presidents and heads of government also came and adopted the Maputo Protocol, which are the rights of women, the African charter, but a protocol now on the rights of women in particular, and the rights of women in Africa, because our cultures and our traditions are different from maybe some of the ones in the West. And so the Maputo Protocol is also very rich in terms of the protection it offers. And what we have been able to find is that African culture did not mistreat its girls. We do not have an equivalent word to defilement in our cultures and in our languages. In Kikuyu language, we don't have, which means defiling girls was not an African thing. That is something that has come with the Mzungu or with other cultures. But then the Maputo Protocol also very, very protective. We have the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals that Kenya played a big role in development, and we have the goal on gender equality and also the mainstreaming of gender issues in all the other goals. But what we are most happy about Kenya now is our own Constitution of Kenya 2010 that makes the laws that we have adopted internationally be applicable here in our country. So that now the Maputo Protocol, the CEDAW Convention are also applicable here in Kenya, and we have applied them in many of our laws. And our Constitution of Kenya 2010 also gave better protection for women and girls, and even removed the cultural biases that we used to have in the old constitution. The new constitution is definitely much better. And so in terms of legal terms and legal speaking, we are in a good place as far as the law is concerned. The constitution, for people like Neema and all the girls here, Articles 53 and Articles 55 and Articles 27 are particularly very, very important for us. But then now going forward is also the laws that Parliament has been able to pass. The laws on family, the Marriage Act that clearly says anybody under 18 is not eligible for marriage. And if anybody marries anyone under 18 years, they are committing a crime. You can only be married after 18 years, and nobody at all, not even the Muslim marriage, not the Christian marriage, not the traditional marriage, allows anybody to be married below the age of 18. But also more importantly is the age of consent for sexual conduct. Again, the Sexual Offences Act, nobody below the age of 18 should consent to sex and to sexual engagement and to sexual conduct. It has to be above 18 years. And that also relates to basic education, where primary and secondary school are part of basic education. So that we should now have all our girls go through primary school and all our girls go through secondary school. And the FGM interferes with that process of education, because sometimes it removes girls from the education system as we have it. And so again, there is a law on ending FGM. There is also a law on protection against domestic violence, making sure that the domestic space is safe. And I personally played a big role in the passage of the Protection Against Domestic Violence, Marriage Act, and Matrimonial Property Act. And I remember that there was a big debate around children and around men, older men wanting to marry young girls and wanting to marry girls before they turn 18. So let me take it back to the MC and say, in terms of the law, we are well protected. The challenge is implementation of the law and the problem with culture. But Sheria imeandikwa, nobody should go to bed with a girl under 18. And we usually say like nyama mbichi. Do the men eat nyama before it is cooked? You know, why should they? Yeah,
No, they don't.
Concept. Thank you. Thank you, MC. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mweshimiwa. And even as you were talking, as a gender student, I'm really taking notes. And I can't wait for my next lecturer, because ntawangaria with all those framework you've talked about. I was really taking notes. And I want to move to Esther, even as you were speaking. And one of the things that I know the government adhered to is to remove all these barriers and inequalities. And then COVID strikes this year. So as we look forward into celebrating the International Day of the Girl Child, COVID has shown us and has reminded us that these inequalities are still there. And maybe to Esther and Sheila and Carol, what are those inequalities that have already shown themselves now that we are still experiencing, this pandemic? What are those equalities that have already shown themselves around?
Thank you very much, Faith. I hope you can hear me. I think one of
Yes,
the
I
things
can.
that I would, thank you. One of the things that I would quickly even speak about now that, there's even a campaign going on. We know there's a lot of massive FGM going on in Korea, and because of the lockdown and people, schools closure, it has actually put girls at a vulnerable place where then we are now seeing massive FGM happening in Korea. Over 100 girls being cut almost every single day. And I'd like to take these opportunities to also just ask every one of us to be able to contribute to that campaign. It's going on Twitter. Please check it out. Make contributions so that then we can be able to save the girls. And then the other issue that we've also experienced is in regards to child marriages. So we've seen there's also a lot of child marriages happening in West Pokot, in Korea and Homa Bay, and also in Kuala Kilifi. And Nema has also talked to us about that. So COVID, as you say, has really exposed the already existing inequalities. And the other ones that we can also highlight is in terms of access to services for young people and young women. We know that services, sexual reproductive health services, are important for young women and girls, and because of the way the response to health really focus on treatment, uh, reducing the curve, the COVID curve, and really not focusing on ensuring that we still have health providers that are able to actually be able to help, like to give services to young women and girls. And also in terms of even antenatal care, we've seen a lot of teenage pregnancies happening. So and the fact that our health centers, most of them really were focused on provision of health in terms of COVID response. We've also experienced girls, antenatal and postnatal care services also being infringed because of this COVID. So some of those, I don't want to mention all of them because I feel like once I mention all of them, my sisters will be able to have, I would want them to contribute more to others. So I've spoken about, FGM, ending child marriage, and also really in terms of access to health services for young women and girls. So yeah.
Okay. Sheila, I think you are on your end. What are those inequalities? I know Esther has given us a number, but then even as you give us the inequalities, what solution? Because I see also time has already run. What are some of the solutions that we can do? I know Mheshimiwa talked about the laws being there, and in Kenya we have one of the best laws also when it comes to just gender laws, but implementation is the issue. So even as you talk about these challenges, what are the possible solutions, especially when you talk about implementation of these laws? Yes, Sheila.
Yeah, thank you so much, Faith. Like Esther said, I think she mentioned pretty much all of them. So I think for me, I just maybe just highlight the one for access to services and information, because I feel like that is the one that has really crippled a lot of, especially young girls, now that we're talking about young girls specifically today, because these are people who really look forward to youth-friendly services, and for the ones who are in situations of teenage pregnancies or early pregnancies, they need that constant maternal health service provision. And when all those things get cut off, especially in this pandemic and due to COVID, then it becomes a whole other situation where you'll find probably either a lot of unwanted pregnancies taken to unsafe places, being handled by unsafe or scrupulous people, and that definitely puts our girls in danger. Not to mention even the ones who are currently in pregnancies and lacking that type of support. So, in terms of solutions, thankfully there's a lot of platforms that are coming up in this day and age. Platforms like hotlines that people can reach out to in the event that such services or information is kind of cut off. And we are finding that hotlines have become kind of like a safe place for women and young girls and pretty much young people who are in dire need for information services. And for instance, like Antigen Hotline, it's accessible, it's free, It offers comprehensive health services, sexual reproductive health services and information, and it's something that is really accessible for young people out there. The other thing that I would also mention is, of course, in terms of inequalities, there's a lot of cases of GBV, which again results to all these things that we've been talking about. Teenage pregnancies where girls are taken advantage of just, because they are available in the estates or in the community. So someone just takes advantage, and you find a girl gets pregnant out of that. And I think for me, the thing that most people need to know, even as we're looking at solutions and implementation of these laws, is that there's desperate need to give that information back to the community, because the laws are there. And you rightfully said, and Meshimia has listed a whole number of laws that are definitely available, but people are not aware. Women and young girls in communities still do not know that these are things that they have access to. These are things that they should be able to, access or fight for, because these are things that protect them. So for me, I would say for organizations that like us and all these Esther and Carol, even as we're doing our SRHR work, let's also build in the advocacy bit and continue to share this information to young girls and women, because that I feel is a very huge gap that currently exists. And once people are aware, then probably it will make even implementation a lot more, because then they'll be able to hold the policymakers accountable and be able to demand their more. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Sheila. And I agree with you. We can be able to see the milestone and the steps that some of the organizations, whether it's NGOs or parastatals, that are taking towards either supporting or forming, rescue center and these hotlines that are in use to be able to deal with cases, especially on gender-based violence and sexual gender-based violence. Thank you so much for that insight. I would like to bring in Carol. And Carol, even as you give us your point, there's something that Nema said, that wazazi wamekosa kujumuika, which means that parents no longer take responsibility of parenting. They've neglected their parental role. Even as you give your point, just comment on that. What is the role of parents for this International Day of the Girl Child? What should we remind them? Carol. If Carol, please unmute. Carol, please unmute. Okay, as she is coming in, I saw Sandra. I don't know if Sandra is okay, she's in. Okay, Carol's mic is unmuted. We can bring in Sandra. I saw Sandra earlier on. Even as I saw Sandra earlier on, and she's back. Sandra, you were with us in the first leg when Nema was talking about parental negligence. What is the role of parents in this era? What should we remind them?
Okay, thanks, Faith, for having me, and I hope you can hear me.
Yes, thank you. We can.
Okay, so first of all, something that I'm really seeing coming up is that parents neglect their children because they feel that they're not financially stable to actually take care of them. And that's why most of our young people go outside to find ways to get money, even if it means selling their bodies and all that, as Nema stated. So the role of the parent, first of all, was to plan parenthood, and I understand that at that age, SRHR wasn't that big in terms of advocacy, in terms of service provision. Ilikuwa ile enzi yenye most people are not that much into family planning methods and contraceptives. But I really feel that at this time, our parents should really be big on how we should protect ourselves, linkage to information and also services, because we don't want the same repetition, the same things being repeated in our generation, Yes. So our parents should really be forefront in terms of giving our children information or link to services. But then again, what are we seeing? We see the complete opposite. Our parents are the one who oppose on the opposition side. When we talk about CC, wanasema, oh, we're teaching our children bad manners, we're teaching them, okay, we will give them the information, they're actually going to get it. What they don't know is that giving them information is actually protection to them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I will. You've mentioned a very important issue. Thank you so much, Sandra. You've mentioned a very important issue on comprehensive sexuality education. And I know this one is highlighted in a reproductive health bill. And I would like to bring on board again Priscilla Nyokabi also as an advocate of the High Court. I don't know if I can see her video is not on. I would really like her to comment on this bill, especially if it has been passed. Yes, Mheshimiwa, you're there. We were just talking about CSC. What will be the positive impact if this bill has been passed, especially for comprehensive sexuality education? I know it's somewhere within the bill.
Yes, it's a bill that has been coming to Parliament for a long, and I think just sort of the stereotypes that you find there. But also to note that in our Article 43 of the Constitution of Kenya, the right to health includes the right to reproductive health care for women. So it was really, really important that the reproductive health rights are really, really addressed. And I think that it is important for the country to understand that reproductive health rights are not abortion. Reproductive health rights are actually normal matters, menstrual health, the whole reproductive system for women. And, God created us that way. It is God's design that we are the gender that carries babies as opposed to the male gender. And so it is very important for the country to invest in reproductive health, and especially from adolescents in terms of education and training, to give age-specific information and age-appropriate information. So it's a very, very important law. Susan Keheka, the senator for Nakuru County, is now pushing for that bill in the Senate. It has done first reading. I think it's on for second reading. And when the bill is done, I think it will go to the National Assembly as well. And we just need to let our churches, especially because they're the ones who oppose it, that this law does not offend our church principles. I mean, I, for one, I'm a Catholic. I'm even a CWA member, a Catholic Women Association, and I believe in God. And the Bible says we are fearfully and wonderfully created. And so the church should allow, if God created us men and women equal and fearfully and wonderfully made, that then we must use science and we must use knowledge and information that has come on board now to further what God had created. And so there is nothing wrong with the reproductive health bill, but there can be consultations. And if there are any clauses that are contentious, the clauses that are contentious can then be removed so that the rest of the law, the adolescent girls, can then get the education that they need for reproductive health matters. And it is very, very important because if you look at HIV and AIDS, again now, our girls are completely at risk in counties like Homa Bay, in counties in Nyanza, where the prevalence for HIV is as high as 30%, way above the national average. I think it is very important that this reproductive health is then addressed, because now it is not just FGM, it is not just a legal marriage, it is also HIV and AIDS. And now with COVID, there's just too many complexities coming on board. So that reproductive health bill, I think, is a priority law that Parliament needs to pass. The session is between now and December. So I'm hoping that between now and December, that particular law can be passed. And one of the way forward for this conversation today can actually be that the reproductive health bill is adopted by. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa, for highlighting that. That was so important, especially when we are deliberating on this. I don't know if Carol is back. Are we having Carol? Is Carol back? Oh, okay. She's not yet back. I don't know, this one can go to anyone, apart from just our top leaders, apart from girls, apart from the top leaders, the parents that we've highlighted, and the girls, who are also the stakeholders. Who should we point fingers at? Who should we point fingers at when it comes to ensuring that? Oh, you are back, Carol. Okay, good. I was just asking the rest of the panel because I'd already asked you a question on the parenting, and Sandra has mentioned it pretty well. But apart from parents and top leaders, who do you think should also help in achieving the agenda of safeguarding the girls in this country? Who else should be brought on board, and at what level should we bring them on board? Who do you think should also help? Carol? As she comes in, remember we are having the conversation going on live. Hashtag Summit Dada 2020, hashtag IDG 2020. Join us. I've seen a couple of comments that are coming in from our viewers in Facebook. They're saying it's on fire, it's tuned in, and we will be running some of these comments.
One, I
We'll
would
be
say
running
that
some of
I
these
would
comments.
said that the parents really have a big role to play. Hello,
Carol is playing.
can you
Okay,
hear?
Carol, yes. Going on live. Hashtag 20. Join us. I've seen. Carol, we can hear you. Couple of comments that are coming in now from Carol. We can have the video from Kajiado playing so that we have 1 minute water break, like 30 seconds water break, as we listen to the voice from one girl in Kajiado on FGM. Carol is playing.
Langu naitwa
Carol,
Nana
we can have the
Kasim,
video from
natoka Mnarani
I'm
Kilifi.
hearing. I'm hearing.
Nilikuwa nasema
Yes, I'm hearing.
challenge yetu sisi kama
Can I
wasichana
respond?
ni katika elimu. Wote tunataka kusoma, lakini huwezi kusoma bila fees, huwezi kusoma bila vitu vingine kama uniform, bila vitabu nini, vitu vingi. Sasa sio wazazi wote ambao wanaweza ku afford vitu kama hivyo. Kama tuseme fees, kaunti zingine kama Kwale wanalipiwa, ambao mtu amepata 350 and above analipiwa na government, county government yao mpaka wayomaliza form 4. Ila hapa Kilifi hakuna mtu ambaye anatusaidia sisi wasichana. Wengi wetu tukimaliza primary ambayo ni ya bure, tukienda high school hatuna mtu wa kutulipia. Sasa si kila mtu anataka kusoma day school, wengine wanataka kusoma boarding, na boarding hatuna uwezo. Mtu anaweza kuwa amepita amepata 400 lakini hana uwezo wa kupelekwa shule nzuri. So ukitaka basari unakaa like kwa mwaka waweza kupewa basari mara moja ya 5,000 na shule ni 40,000 and above. Hebu niambie tunasaidika vipi hapa? Sasa nataka sauti yangu isikike kwa county government. Msiangalie tu hizo towns Malindi, muangalie pia huku vijimboni kwetu, mtusaidie. Sasa kama mtu hasomi, ndo pale hajatoka kujingani, ataenda atafute mtu ampe shilingi 50, amtie mimba, na vitu kama hivyo. Sasa mkitusaidia itabadilisha maisha watu wengi, na Kilifi hasa Mnarani watu tutakuwa wameelimika, na mtu ambaye ameelimika mtu ambaye ameelimika akili yake anaweza kufikiria vitu vingi kama kujitafutia, kuwa creative, kutafuta kazi yeye mwenyewe. Lakini mtu ambaye hajasoma haizi kutafuta kazi, atatafuta kazi na nini? So mtusaidie, mtu kitupa tu fees sahi tutakuwafanya vizuri na tutapita na tutakuja kufanya maendeleo. Lakini mkituacha hivi tukiozea nyumbani na mimba za mapema, hatutasaidika na Kilifi bado itakuwa kule kule nyuma kwenye mstari wa mbele katika mimba za mapema.
Mimi kama msichana ningeomba sauti yangu isikike. That is the voice of the lady from Kilifi, and I was just, putting what she was saying. And Esther, if you are online, I don't know, this whatever she has said is very important, especially when matters of education are concerned. And she has given an example that Kwale girls are being done for more than maybe Kilifi. What do you think we can be able to do more to ensure that the MCAs are putting in the budgets where budgets are supposed to be put, and implementation of also this is being adhered to, so that we ensure that girls are getting the needs rather than what the MCAs just wants to do?
Thank you very much, Faith. I think one of the things that I can say is that when we start programs that look at access to education for girls, we should actually be able to ensure that it goes all the way to the rural girls as well. And because then when you get to the rural girls, then it means that we'll be able to get to all the girls that really have a need to education and they don't have resources. And then the other thing is that we also need to be able to be part of the budgeting processes, because in that budgeting processes then we are able to influence how much goes to education in terms of daily in terms of the bursaries and what that means. And then the other thing is also we need to hold our leaders to account and accountable, and because they are on the ground, our MCAs are on the ground, so they actually really understand the lived realities of girls in a way that maybe a senator or another governor does not have. So I think one of the things that we need to do is to hold our leaders to account. That bursary, the way she's saying, 5,000 and someone has to go to school and the fees is 40,000 is not sufficient. How else can we be able to connect them to other programs that have more support to subsidize what they, to supplement what they can be able to give. So it's all about programs that are working on access to education for girls to actually reach the most marginalized. And we can do that because we have so many youth groups, the young women groups, women groups in those communities. So being able to ensure that we reach to the rural women and girls, rural girls. And then in terms of, policies, that we have voices of girls. Like, so for her, she needs to be in the policy making processes. So she needs to be able to influence the budget processes. She needs to, when it comes to public participation, they need to be there so that then their voices are heard. And we also need to hold our government to account. So it's not enough that we have, fund that can only support maybe 5,000 the way she said, and that the fees is more than that. So it means that the girls will still be chased from school, and they will not be able to get that education in the long run. So I think supplementing what is already there will be able to ensure that then the girls stay in school. And then also for the programs that many non-state actors have within Kilifi, Kwale County, they should actually ensure that they reach the most marginalized. They go to the community, and there are youth groups and women groups that are in those communities that really know who really is in need.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Esther. And I like the point that you've said that we can always have supplements. Whatever is there can always be supplemented to ensure that these girls actually stays in school. And when you're talking about education, I know education has its own variables, or rather it has its own dynamic. It's not just a matter of education itself. There are also other determining and driving factors that ensures that this girl stays in school. And maybe this one can go to Sheila. I know as Tika, you do a lot of work with the girls. What are some of those implementation or programs you are doing to ensure that these girls also stays in schools, apart from just, you know, what the government is doing, providing the fee? What are other programs that you do? Because I know there are other people who are watching and would like to know what else can be adopted when you're talking about supplementing. What else can we do to ensure that these girls stays in school rather than just giving them bursaries and even sanitary towels?
Yeah. So thank you so much, Faith. Yeah, that's a good question. Like you mentioned, education is actually a multifaceted um, aspect, even when you're talking about programming. And so for us, especially as Tika, one of the things that we've taken even back to the community in terms of programs and in terms of supporting girls is just the bit about sharing information and having this setting both in schools and out of school, so that in the event that someone maybe had dropped out, it's a part of bit of just having conversations with them about, you know, what options they have. Because some of these things, the school dropout is really high at 13,000 per year, and that was a few years back. So you can imagine right now where it is and how it will be, especially given COVID. So it's just a matter of giving girls information. Yes, we can always support. We can give hampers and, you know, food support, but I think the richest thing that you can give a girl is just the information and allowing her to be able to make those choices and have that freedom to make that choice, like be in a space where she's actually able to conjure up a thought and follow it through for herself, knowing well what it will be, what it will mean for her. So Tika programs are just around sexual reproductive health mostly, but the information is well rounded in that it helps a girl be able to open up her mind, open up her way of thinking, and including education itself, and also, you know, things like finances. If you're able to incorporate that in your programming for girls, well, like how do they learn how to save bit by bit for themselves, so that they don't have to rely on other people, especially in situations where they find themselves not having any money, or, you know, and then they would probably end up looking for, you know, maybe transactional sex in that sense, in that context. So there's bits that you can do in terms of also empowering them financially and giving them that support. It doesn't have to be, you know, how to do cash books and, you know, profit and loss accounts. It's just a simple thinking around saving maybe 2 shillings every day or 5 shillings every day. It works miracles, I believe. So just looking at it in that sense. Of course, the pads, we're not saying they are bad, supporting with pads and all those other things, and giving support even when it comes to food to help keep these girls in school, because those are still things that they would go out of school to look for. So yeah, that's what I would say in terms of looking at education holistically. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Sheila. And indeed, adolescent and girls are very dynamic, and they just don't need a linear, you know, way of implementing programs. They need, you know, diverse. There has to be life skills there. There has to be social accountability there. There has to be empowerment. There has to be education, and all these things. And I really concur with you. We were with Neema in the first leg of this conversation. And I would really like to bring her on board again, and for her to just highlight the role of a boy to protect a girl. We've always had this conversation on girls, and girls also exist with boys. And we also have to have male engagement, either as partners or as champions of change. And when I bring in Neema, what do you think is the role of boys in protecting the girls? Ni njia gani ambayo watoto wa kiume wanaweza saidia watoto wa kike, ama wanaweza, you know, ni njia gani? Wacha tuanze na hiyo njia gani watoto wa kiume wanaweza saidia watoto wa kike. Neema. Neema, unanipata?
Thank you so much. Nakupata.
Haya.
It's a good question. Yaani wavulana wanaweza kusaidiaje wasichana? Ni kwamba katika hiyo information, boys also should be given the information on the importance of the provision of girls' rights. Na hapo sasa wakifundishwa kuhusu hizo rights za wasichana, they will be able to take care of their girls in the societies.
So nikikupata vyema ni kuwa
Yaani wakifundishwa information
endelea.
When the boys get the information, watachukulia kama sisi ni ndugu zao na wataishi nasi vizuri kama ndugu zao. Watajua kama sisi sio wasichana kuchezea, tunaishi kama ndugu. Tutakuwa na uwezo kama hao, tutaweza kusoma kama hao, yaani tutafanya kila kitu kama hao, kwa sababu tutakuwa tuko na haki sawa.
Asante sana Neema, na nimekupata kwa njia ya usafi sana. And what you're saying is number one, we really need to educate and empower boys on these laws that govern or rather protect the girls. Number two, we have to show them the importance of being involved in the lives of the girls, because when they know the importance, then they're going to treat girls also as equal partners and also as equal people who can be able to access the opportunities and the resources they also access as a boy child. We are almost coming to the end of this conversation. And as usual, you're joining us through Twitter on hashtag Summit, the Dada Summit 2020, and hashtag IWD, International Day of Girl, IDG 2020. Let's keep the conversation going. I don't know if we have questions from the people who are watching us. I had already seen some comments being given. I don't know if we can have just a few questions running live so that we also engage other people who are watching us either from our social media sites as we are coming close to this. And I can see Riungu Junior is saying that empowerment is not an end point or a fixed state, but a process of change. It is a personal journey through which adolescent girls or boys develop clear and evolving understanding of themselves in the world with ability to make choices that will impact. So let us walk in this journey. So Irungi is just focusing on mainly the empowerment. I can see Mariah Onyango, very powerful message from the girl. Yes, I agree. And the girl is really articulating her issues very well. I agree with you, Mariah. She is a good one. Do we have more comments and more questions as I bring in the last round of our panelists? That was lovely, Muhesh. Indeed, we should let girls be girls and enjoy their childhood. Yes, I agree with you, Mariah, and the point that you say that we are wonderfully and fearfully made. How Wilter Sarah is saying, can't wait to hear how best we can involve rural girls and encourage them to pull through. We will be having that as a parting shot. So Karanga says, I lost a copy of Straight Talk. Okay, that one can be done aside from this. And maybe we can have our last round of interaction with the panelists. Danko is saying, Mary Youths tuned in for this platform. We can have the last round of the panel. I can bring in Mheshimiwa, something that has really been brought up with the people in Isiolo. They were saying that the rural girls have not been heard. Their voices are not being heard. What do you think as Ngek? Because I know Ngek has its roots in so many places. Personally, I'm in Kitui, and I know there's a Ngek office and we work with them. So what can GEC do as an office to ensure that the voices of these girls in rural areas is also being brought to light, is also being heard? As you give us your final parting shots, Mheshimiwa.
Thank you very much, and really
Yes.
good. Thank you, and good to see the comments as well coming on, and also really I have loved Neema too, and the contribution that she has brought onto this show. Just the two things on the rural girls. It is true that NGEC has offices out of Nairobi. We actually have an office in Kitui. We do a lot of work in Kilifi, which is one of the leading counties on teenage pregnancies. We also do have an office in Kisumu. We have an office in Nakuru, and we have an office in Garissa. But I think that we will intensify the voices of the rural girls. And now in these days of internet, in these days of social media, I think it is much easier to get our voices heard. But I think what eventually happens is that the issues that affect the girl are the same, whether rural or urban. And I want to speak to just two things very quickly, is that the gender equality matters are linked. And I like the post that came about equality and also about budgeting. That it is true that counties have to budget more resources for some of these interventions. Kilifi County would need to budget for more resources for bursary, more resources even for student mothers. Sometimes the girls who become teenage mothers need to be taken back to school. So that whole lot of budgeting is very important. But then is the place of 2/3 gender rule, that we need more women leaders to take up some of the matters that we are discussing here. Fathers have not been very good with these conversations. In fact, fathers are sometimes also the perpetrators. You know, the teenage pregnancies, they found the 3 J's are the worst perpetrators. The Japonji, the teacher, is also a risk person, the Jaduong or the leader, and also the border person. So the fathers haven't been good. These conversations are much better with women leaders. And so we need to have more women in parliament to be able to budget better for some of these questions, have shelters where girls can run away when they are at risk, have gender-based violence reporting desks that are working, that are functioning, gender-based violence shelters where women are at risk, because sometimes the violence is at home. But let me end on the point of personal empowerment. I think that no amount of empowerment outside of yourself can help you when you are not personally empowered. And girls must just learn to say no. And when you say no, you mean no. You will not have sexual relations with anyone before the age of 18 years, and you will say no, and you will report when anybody endangers your rights. So that part about self-empowerment and about understanding your own sexuality and postponing the time when having sex, because that risks you to teenage pregnancies. And I speak as a student mother. It is not easy being a student mother. It is much better to finish your school, finish your education, get your job, and then get your family at that time. And they are good men at that point. In fact, the men you meet when you're a teenager and the men you start sleeping with earlier on in life are not actually the best men. The best men are way ahead. So please, that idea of self-empowerment is something we also really need to teach. Taking up sciences, Gatuge girls, and encouraging the girls to take up difficult courses, mathematics, chemistry, biology, physics, and all of the subjects that we need to take. Our dreams are truly valid, and we must pursue those dreams. Bila woga. Self-empowerment. For Neema, I'm hoping she studies law. Akuje pande hii tutetee haki za wenzake. Akuje kwa sheria ama whatever else anataka kusomea. But our dreams are valid, and the country needs to be safe for women and girls. Thank you very much, Faith, for this conversation. And thank you, Esther and Carol and all the other panelists. I have really enjoyed, and do look forward to actually more similar conversations so that the girl child and the girls can be more empowered than what we have now in our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa. It was a pleasure having you. And I know amidst your busy schedule and it being a weekend, I know you had a few things to do. And thank you for just making time to be with us. And I agree with you. And I put that as a punching line. And I think I have a comment to make on Twitter when I've left this place. There is nothing as powerful as having self-empowerment. So before we go outside there, let us work on us. Let us work on individual empowerment, and then we can reflect the light. Carol is here, and I will be giving each speaker half a minute to do a parting shot. But I would really like us to take 1 minute break with the DJ Wiwa. I don't know if he's around, and then we can, as we look through the 210 conversations, and then we will be back to just wrap up the whole of this conversation. We can have a 1 minute break with DJ Wiwa with music. I don't know if she's around, and then Esther, Carol, Sheila, Neema will be, giving us the parting shot as we close the Dada Summit today. DJ Wiwa, take it over.
I want to see the ladies lose control. So turn around, give it to me, come give it to me, baby. That's on the beat. Nalingi mama, kama yeye kuanza yo mafaya my desire na kupenda. Shake your mama, shake your mama, shake your Mr. Sidagen, Mr. Isaac, Simba wa Yuda na Turuma, Simba wa Yuda na Turuma na Kituruma, Simba wa Yuda na Turuma, Simba wa Yuda na Turuma na Kituruma, nasi alikuruma Batimayo kipofu wakaona tena akaguruma mama aliyetokola damu akapona. Aliguruma kaburini kifo kikakosa mana tena akaguruma Mr. CBA nikaona mwangazo. Sometimes I feel like I just wanna sing na 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 na. I don't find anything so good inside. Ta-ra-ra-ra. Sometimes I feel like I just wanna sing na 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 na. So good inside. Simba wa Yuda na Buruma. Simba wa Yuda na Buruma na Kituruma. Simba wa Yuda na Buruma.
Uko na njaa, unatafuta lishi ya kushiba, una lishi fulani keshi.
Still they talk on be like a fast. They say, hey, me tell you food fast. What that satisfied, what that point that's but me but like this anytime, any day, that's a Monday. Like she can't listen what you got a Sunday. But say I can't, I'm back in Monday. Like she wanted to not be a Sunday. Like, just one day. Or the yet, they don't know many days. But tonight, in a day, it's not too late. Puraneno, 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 KBS, puraneno, 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 puraneno. Everybody see by your eyes. Yo, I love you, baby, I don't think I'm tired. Your beauty making me to realize. Say never, So bring it light. So you must marry me. You gon' love me. You gon' kill me, baby. You gon' follow me. You're my remedy. You're my melody. If you be the harmony, you gon' keep me. Baby, Palanga, I will show you love that you never see. Palanga, you're the mother of my two baby. Baby, Palanga, if we die, we make a deal, baby. Baby, Palanga, I will love you forever. Oh, Duro, Duro, baby, Duro, Duro, yeah. Follow me, follow me. I go dance again, follow me. Your daddy come on. Wanna let me hang up the seat. If you be I go look your baby. Baby, love me. But you say you must marry me. You gon' love me. You gon' kill me, baby. You gon' follow me. You're my remedy. You're my melody. If you be the money, you gon' keep me. I will show you love that you never take. Palanga, you're the mother of my two baby. Palanga, and if we like, we'll make a deal. Baby, Palanga, and we
Hello. None other but DJ Wiwa herself on the mic or on the set or on the deck, however you would really like to call it. And it's always a pleasure having her play, and it's always a pleasure having her just showing us that you can be able and you can be able to do so much with even the power and the talent you have. Hongera sana Goodos. We are getting us dancing on the background. Thank you so much, DJ Wiwa. And now to our panelists. And I said we're going to summarize, and we're going to pass our messages outside there. And we're going to give people comments and insights to talk about on Twitter, to talk about on Facebook. So we just want to wrap it up. And with the parting shot, I know we had Mushimwanyo Kabe. I know we had Carol. Carol hasn't spoken. She was traveling, and I think her internet kept on fluctuating. We had Esther, we had Sheila, and we have our only adolescent, Nema. So I would really like us to give our parting shot. What is the message outside there that we are passing in International Day of the Girl Child 2020? Sheila, what is your parting shot message?
Thank you, Faith. For me, I think just bouncing off of what has been part of the discussion since we started with Nema and the ladies from Tarakanini and Naro, just a key highlight just being that there's lack of that parental advice or guidance or that mentorship when it comes to matters of just growing up generally, and more so sexual reproductive health. So for me, I would say let's keep holding each other's hands as women, as girls. Let's not someone have so much trouble accessing information. If you're able, I think you had asked a question at some point, and I don't know if there was an answer that was given. Who do we point? Who else do we point to? The parents are there, the state actors are there, but the other people that we need to ask ourselves are we as a society, we as the people in this community, in this universe, we as the people around these young girls, what are we doing? So I would just, my parting shot would be, there's hotlines, there's help available. Reach out to Antigen hotline. It's on the website, antigen.org. There's a phone number that is free. Get advice. Don't feel like you're alone. Don't feel like you have to die with your issues. There are people who are willing to reach out and to speak to you and to offer you that information. So as girls, I think we need to learn to rely on each other, and that is one of those avenues. If all else fails, if the parents are not there, if the people around you are not supportive, then reach out, and there's definitely a hand that will reach out back to help you. So for me, that's my parting shot. Thank you.
Thank you. And I love that I've put it in quotes. Reach out, there's always a hand to help you out as long as you reach out. Thank you so much, Sheila. Esther.
Thank you very much. I think for me, my parting shot will be able to highlight the different, intersecting forms of inequality and say that, when you look at a girl faces different forms of inequality, oppression, and discrimination in relations to gender, poverty, even where they are, location, disability. And then that means the program that we come up with, who are both state actors and non-state actors, should actually be multi-pronged and intersectional in nature, so that then, that program can be able to ensure that it covers all the different forms of inequality. So if you're working on, you're working on education, you need to actually see how then it intersects with sexual reproductive health and rights and poverty and economic justice, so that then, we'll come up with programs that are, yes, focusing on, ensuring alleviating the issues of girls, but in a way that then it's just not one issue focus. It's a multi-pronged focus. It's intersectional in nature, so that then we bring out a constituency of girls that are empowered, that girls that have a voice, girls that they feel that they have a choice in regards to their bodily autonomy and integrity, and also girls that actually take leadership, within, to influence, processes at the community level, at the county level, even at the household level, because it is in those spaces where change, starts, so that they have a voice to challenge inequalities at the home level and oppression at the home level, and then that one will actually go to policy and policy at the national and regional and, further. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, and I concur with you. Policy both with the parents and us just embracing it. It's a matter that we should not be taking light. And thank you so much for the insights you've brought. It was really, really nice talking to you. Carol, I know you haven't had a chance to talk. Maybe for you, I can give you 1 minute so that you put across what you had for us in mind. I don't know if your network is right now stable for you to unmute your mic and give your parting shot as you give us the pointers that you had. Carol. Carol, can you be able to hear us? Okay, still an issue. You can take me to Sandra. I know Sandra had a point on parenting. I don't know what's your parting shot. You were just coming from adolescent to now you are young youth. What is your parting shot?
Well, my parting shot is that, yeah, you're right. I'm very, very young. I'm just from adolescence last year. So, what really helped me as a girl child is having information. This was through a program in school, but now we're really pushing for CSC again. We just don't want this to be a program that will be for selected young people or people who are only interested. This should be compulsory, and in terms of information, yes, and also apart from the information, you services, because how I know that I can access contraceptives, which one is best for me. But then again, if I don't have a place where I can go and get youth-friendly services, it will really not mean much. So let's have everyone on board and really try and work to make the girl child, because most of SRHR issues is not kuangukia madem, and it is really sad because yes, yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandra. I like what you've put across, that CSE should be compulsory. And I agree with you. It's actually a life skill. It is a life skill. You need it outside here for you to survive. When you don't have information about your sexuality, about your body, about diseases encompassing your sexuality, then you're not going to make it here in the world. So it really needs to be compulsory, and I agree with you. Nema, our adolescent, maneno yako ya mwisho. Nema, maneno yako ya mwisho.
Ningeomba kuja kutembelea hao watu wa West Pokot, tuweze kuwa na forum sote pamoja, ili tuweze kujua shida za huko na tulinganishe na shida za huku, ili tuweze kusolve kwa pamoja. Alafu number 2, ningeweza kuomba governmental and non-governmental to chip in so that they can help the young adolescents in the society who have been neglected and do not have anything to do through the community.
Ya tatu? Neema, ya tatu?
Jamii yetu ituchukulie kama watoto wao na iweze kutusaidia kama vile wanaweza kusaidia watoto wao. Alafu the Zamara Foundation iweze kuexpand na kuja Kilifi, kuja kusaidia wale adolescents ambao wako helpless.
Amekupata sana. Na uko na jambo kwa mheshimiwa? Mheshimiwa, unajua mheshimiwa amekwambia kuwa uende ukasome sheria. Una jambo la kumwambia? Ningekuwa kama wewe na naona mtu influential kama huyu, ningekuwa na maneno ya kutamka makali makali. Unajua anaweza kukutoa Kilifi akulete Nairobi.
Sheria ziko lakini hakuna implementation, hazitiliwi mkazo na hiyo serikali.
Okay.
Tunamuomba atutembelee, aje tuhamasishe mwenyewe.
Amesikia. Amesikia. Mheshimiwa, your parting shot. Hello.
Sorry, I'd forgotten to unmute. Thank you, Faith, and thank you, Neema. Nitakuja kitembelea. Nitaomba Faith anipe namba yako na shule yenyu. Nikija nitakutafuta. Na naona Esther na Sheila kuja wote kule Kilifi tukuje tufanye hii kazi. But then on my parting shot, I think very, very important for the theme of today that we end FGM by the year 2020. We end harmful practices, and that our country, the whole country, Kenya, which is Kajiado. In Kenya now, we have some counties that are zero FGM county. My own county of Nyeri is zero FGM now. But we want the entire country, all the 47 counties, and so that our girls can then able to pursue their goals in life without the burden of GBV, SGBV, and harmful practices. We are looking for a country that is free of all these ills and a country where girls and boys are equal. So I'm hoping that we continuously work towards that goal. Zero FGM, zero GBV. Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for being part of the panel with me. Thank you.
Thank you, and I believe we are going to achieve that. And the steps that have already been put in place, it's something that is really an eye-opener. Thank you so much, everybody who was watching us from Facebook, from Twitter. the panel that has produced. Thank you so much, Kenny, who is running the Straight Talk and giving us this opportunity. To my panelists, Sheila, Carol, Mheshimiwa Nyokabi, Neema, shukran za dhati sana kutoka kwangu. I have been the
Excuse
moderator,
me,
Faith
Faith.
Fao. Yes.
Tulikuwa
Is
tunaomba
there
pia
somebody to give?
stakeholders. Yes. Tulikuwa tunaomba stakeholders pia watusaidie tuweze kupush ili youth friendly centers ziweze kujengwa huku Kilifi.
Hiyo ni jambo la advocacy na nimekusikia sana, na tumeiweka kwa point kuwa youth friendly centers zikuwe functional, zisikuwe tu ni jumba ambalo watu wanatembea, lakini iwe ni jumba ambalo linafanya kazi. Shukran sana, nimekusikia. So thank you so much everyone. Let's meet again. Let us enjoy, support a sister, support a mother, support a girl, because we need you and together we can make a difference. My name is Faith Fao and it was a pleasure to have you. Thank you. We can have music, DJ Wiwa, even as we finish. I don't know if Carol's mic is on again. We've lost her, kabisa.
Yes.
Carol,
I'm
finally,
around.
as we finish.
Hello. Yes.
Yes, Carol.
I'm so sorry. I'm so disappointed. I'm talking from Kakamega County, and from the grassroots level, my parting shot, my contribution first would be, it is a collaborative approach. Everyone needs to take an active role in ensuring that gender inequality is minimized. From the parents, the parents need to take an active role. We can no longer assume the role of parenting. We can no longer leave the growing up of our children to chance. We can all agree that we are living in a very unique times where our young people are being faced by various challenges. And therefore, for us to save the future generation, we require that everybody take an active role. For the parents, they should not ignore about the welfare of their children. The fathers, it's a high time they come into their children's lives so that they are able to follow up onto each and every challenge that their girls are facing. For the civil society, let us stop imagining programs. Let us design programs starting from the grassroots, which are evidence-based, and they are capturing the views of the girls. They are capturing the realities on the ground to be able to address the real issues that are affecting the young people or the women and girls at the grassroots level. The government needs to take an active role too. The inequalities that have been experienced, especially during this period of COVID, the women have suffered most. Being also involved in a hostile environment, I have seen women being denied chances on biological processes that are beyond their control, and women have had to carry out the major burden. The teenage girls have been evacuated from their homes, and the question is the gender inequality that is presenting. The boys are not held responsible in any way on the plight that affects the girls during pregnancy. They have been evacuated from their homes. That means the parents also need to be educated on these matters so that they know which action to take that is not to jeopardize the future and the dreams of the young girls, but rather to be able to uplift them once more and give them a hope in their lives. For all the civil for all the partners and the civil society. My parting shot would be, it's a high time we collaborate, we work in synergy, because no one single person can say that I am able to address all the community problems and solve them at once. We need to put our efforts together so that even if they are little efforts, they can count at the end of the day. At individual level, I would say, let us be intentional. The change we desire to see in the community will not come unless we are intentional about the change. And otherwise, the generation that if we don't do anything, if we don't act now, we will be opening so many doors of prisons. We will be we will be expecting a generation that has got no direction, because the young girls that are getting pregnant at an early age and not going back to school and not attaining their dreams, the teachers of their children in the future. They will be the first teachers of their children. And if they have the right information, if they are not empowered, they will also raise a generation that is knowledge deficit. That is all. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
God bless you too. That was a great summary of what has been done, and I personally take it as a communique, and I will be following it after you, because those are great inpoints and they're great pointers towards government and stakeholders and even individuals like us to actually act towards it. The rest of the team, shukran sana, enjoy your weekend. It was a pleasure having you as a companion here. Bye bye.
Thank you for having us. Bye bye.
Is it?
Hi, my name is Sylvia and I'm 14 years old. My whole life, people have been telling me what I should and shouldn't do. Do this, do that. But it's my life and I want to decide how to live it myself. And instead of half knowledge, I want proper information, because I have the right to know everything about my body, about sexuality, about contraception, and about my rights. I'm the one who decides what happens with my body, and I need to be protected in case someone else has a different opinion on that. With 13 or 14 years, I don't want to have to marry an older man like many other girls have to do, just because my parents say that I should. And then I should change my school books for a broom? Become a mother at such a young age? No! My life belongs to me and me alone. Perhaps I'll become a doctor, a teacher, or even a famous photographer. I have the right to fulfill my dreams. Hi, I'm Sylvia, 25 years old, grown up, healthy, and of course, I still dream of falling in love with the right person. I have the right to decide with whom I want to be together. It is my decision. It is also our decision how many children to have, whether it's 1 child, 2 children, 3 children, or even no children at all. But that can only work if I can choose for myself. I need to have access to the contraceptives that fit my needs. And when I want to have a child, I have the right to a proper health system, before birth, during birth, and after birth for me and my child. We have our lives in our own hand, and we decide. It is our right.
Hi everybody.
Hi guys, my name is Jenny Machula, Taragas High School.
My name is Rafael Juma from Dada County Student School.
My name is Maureen Shitawa. I'm from Shenas Girls High School located in Nakuru County.
Mini Matu, Makimaina, Tika High.
Hey guys, I'm Belinda Sifuna, Machula Girls School from 4.
I'm in Form 3 and you're watching Straight Talk TV.
Watching Straight Talk TV.
I'm in Form 4, the school is in Machakos County and you're watching Straight Talk TV. Keep watching.